Hello, here is my review of 7 pickleball paddles. I am not an expert, but this is what I found playing with 7 different paddles trying to find the right one for me. So my baseline paddle is this TMPR Ascend, which I've been playing with for about a year. It is, I believe, 16 and a half inches long and not the full 8, like 7 and 3/8 or something inches long. It's a little bit of an extended paddle and it weighs about 8 ounces. And it's worked good for me for the last year, but lately I've been wanting to hit with more spin, so I started looking for a better paddle for hitting more spin and to see if there's anything better out there. And I thought what I learned from that could be useful to other people looking for paddles. So I went to pickleballcentral.com and looked at their most popular paddles for pro players and for control paddles and for power players as well, and got a couple of the paddles from each category. So the first one I tested was this Kinetic Ovation 2 white paddle here with the oval shape, which is unique. And this one is thin and I think it has a solid core. Anyway, I was interested and intrigued by this one, and as soon as I hit it, I frankly did not like it. And I don't know if it just doesn't have the solid feel that I'm used to in this paddle, but I wasn't a big fan. And I'd say its power was about average compared to the others, although I think it was a favorite paddle from others on Pickleball Central, so maybe I'm just missing something, but I wasn't a big fan of it. It has a smooth surface, so it wasn't going to give me the spin that I was wanting. So I didn't spend too much time on this one, but there's that one. The next up, I have the Electrum Pro. It has the carbon fiber face, although I still have the plastic wrap on here because I'm probably going to send it back. So I was intrigued by this paddle. When I hit with it, I was really impressed with how much power it had. It had the most power of all the paddles that I tested here. I didn't realize it. This one was an 8-inch width and not quite as long as my paddle that I'm have been playing with. And to me that wasn't as good because I'm 5'9", and reach is something that is probably a priority, and I find most of my miss hits come off the tip of the paddle or even complete misses and less so on the sides. So I wanted a longer paddle. I looked, and Electrum does have a longer paddle that's slightly narrower, but that one actually weighs more than 8 ounces. And as I found testing these paddles, the lighter paddles really are more responsive at the net. So I didn't think that would be a good paddle for me because I play both singles and doubles, and being able to, handle the paddle quickly at the net would be important. So if I were to play only singles, the Electrum Pro in the longer model might be at the top of my list. This paddle again felt really solid, generated a lot of power, a lot of spin, but I wanted the longer option, and their version is just too heavy for me. But otherwise felt like a really good paddle. This Selkirk Invicta, and hopefully I'm saying that right. If not, there are the words. You can look it up for yourself. This paddle was really interesting. I didn't particularly care for it because it didn't have much power. It felt like like it was a control paddle. So if control is what I was looking for, this would be the paddle that I would go for. Really had a nice soft touch. But I felt like I had to swing harder to generate, the driving serves that I wanted to hit. So if I find out in the future that I am hitting the ball long and out of control and need a more control-oriented paddle, this might be the one that I come back to. It felt good, but just more, I would say, a control paddle than a power paddle. Next up, I have this Onyx Evoke Premier, and this paddle generated a good amount of power. It has the nice rough surface, which I skipped over. This one has a nice rough surface too. All of these paddles, except for the first, my paddle and the Kinetic Ovation, had smooth surfaces, but the rest have nice rough surfaces for generating spin. Anyway, back to the Evoke Premier. This paddle hit very nicely, but it was the loudest paddle by far of the 7 that I tested, and it was a deal breaker for me. I usually play at 6 in the morning in a park with houses nearby, and I think this would bug them, and I think it might bug the people I was playing with. So maybe I'm just too conscientious about that, but this paddle was too loud for me. But it did feel really good, and I think it's probably a really good paddle. All right, and last, they have the two paddles that I've really been split over which one to use. So I have the Engage Pursuit MX 6.0 and the Players Rogue 2 with the Gizmo hamburger motif. And I liked both of these paddles a lot. I liked the Rogue 2 for ground strokes. It felt really solid. It had a lot of power, probably second only to the Electrum. It felt, like I said, solid, maybe less vibration, and it was relatively quiet. So I really liked hitting the ground strokes with this paddle, and it's the elongated style like I'm looking for. Then there's the Engage Pursuit MX. This is the 6.0, and this paddle had medium power. And then when I went to the net, however, this paddle really was a lot more maneuverable than all the other ones. And then I found out that I ended up ordering the Featherlight version, which I didn't realize. And so this paddle, as it says, is only 7.3 ounces. And I didn't think that, 7/10 of an ounce would matter, but I noticed a distinct advantage with this paddle being more maneuverable than the others. So if I was always at the net, this would be the paddle that I would want to play with. And so I was kind of split over which paddle to get. Again, both of them were really solid at the ground strokes. This one, however, had a little bit more power, and this one was more maneuverable at the net. Looking into it, I found out that Engage makes lots of options, and this is, I think it's 5/8 thick version, and they have a 1/2 inch thick version that claims to have more power, which is why I like this paddle a little bit more for the ground strokes. And I also found out that they had two heavier versions than this paddle, which would, again, probably help it be better for the ground strokes and be right on par, or who knows, maybe better, or at least the same as this Rogue 2. Then again, I also liked the lightweight of this paddle for at the net, and also both of these have nice rough surfaces. The Pursuit might have just a little bit more of a rough surface, and I might have been able to generate just a little bit more spin with this paddle, so I kind of liked that more. I could probably play with either of these, the Rogue 2 or maybe the thinner version of the Pursuit MX, and maybe one of the two heavier weights. In the end, I think I'm going to go with the Rogue 2. I don't know if their science is real on their website, but I have a science background and liked all the things on their website talking about the sweet spot and the noise dampening and the rotational inertia. So, and I don't know, it seemed good. It was $110 with a promotion online. This paddle's $200. But I think either of these are really good options, and I'll see how it goes playing with the Rogue 2 and if I need to switch in the future. Thanks.